The Minolta Rokkor 38mm f2.8 is the lens that came with Minolta Autopack 700, a fixed-lens rangefinder camera that uses 126 film. The Autopack 700 was made in Japan and released on the market in 1966. Minolta developed this camera in response to Kodak's introduction of 126 film back in 1963. The promise of 126 film was that it made the process of loading and unloading film super easy. All you had to do is take out your film cartridge, drop it in the film chamber, then close the camera back, advance the film, and you are ready to shoot. 126 film cartridges produce square negatives of approximately 26 by 26 millimeters, which is where the name of the film comes from. The problem with most cameras that use 126 film is that they were cheaply made and had low quality, slow lenses that had fixed focus and fixed aperture. But Minolta took a different approach with the Autopack 700. Their camera not only offered automatic exposure, but it also had full manual control for those who wanted it. And it also featured a quite fast and very sharp Rokkor lens. According to this advertisement, the Autopack 700 used to sell for $69.95 back in 1967. This lens accepts filters with 55mm diameter. Aperture ranges from f2.8 to f22. The diaphragm is made of 4 rounded aperture blades. Once this lens is removed from the Autopack 700, it has no mount whatsoever, but adapting it to digital is quite easy, and I'll show you how to do that in chapter 3 of this video. The lens alone, without anything attached to it, weighs only 97 grams. The original minimum focusing distance of this lens was 80 centimeters, but when adapted to digital, that distance becomes only 17 centimeters. The Minolta Rokkor 38mm f2.8 is one funky little lens. Since this lens was designed to be used with 126 film and not a regular 35mm film, it's not really usable for landscape photography or any other long-distance shots if you're adapting it to a full-frame camera, because in that situation only the central area of the frame will be sharp, which is understandable and not a fault of the lens. After all, this Rokkor lens was not made to cover full frame. But where this lens really shines when adapted to a full-frame camera is when it's used for close-up photography. With the setup that I'll show you in chapter 3 of this video, you'll be able to focus from 55 centimeters down to 17 centimeters. And in that range, you will have perfect corner-to-corner sharpness even on a full-frame sensor. And that is what I'll be discussing in this review, its performance for close-ups. This lens is already very sharp in the center even wide open, and becomes amazingly sharp throughout the whole image by f8. It's almost unreal how good the resolution is from this unassuming little lens. The colors from this Minolta are beautiful and have a very unique look. They're definitely on the warmer side of the spectrum and have excellent saturation. Contrast is also quite nice, but since this is a single-coated lens, contrast diminishes when you point it towards bright sources of light. It also flares quite a lot, so have that in mind. But where this lens scores very highly is in its ability to control chromatic aberrations to a degree that I rarely see in vintage lenses. I was amazed that I couldn't detect any fringing whatsoever, even in challenging lighting conditions. This lens performed like a champ, and it was great to shoot with it and not have to worry about chromatic aberrations. Another feature of this Minolta that I absolutely love is its super cool square bokeh, which is most prominent when the lens is stopped down past f8. I'm always excited about lenses with square bokeh because the look that they give you is really unpredictable and very unusual. I love how sometimes bright highlights will turn into little squares, like in this example over here, and I also love how the background starts to look like a crazy checkerboard. If you appreciate lenses that are super weird and unusual and have plenty of character and a very unique look, then you'll definitely enjoy this Rokkor lens. Since this lens is mainly suitable for close-ups and it has quite unusual bokeh, I realize that it won't be everyone's cup of tea, but if you love experimenting with weird old lenses, you'll probably have a lot of fun with this Minolta. Its build quality is not going to impress anyone since it has a pretty simple design and a few plastic parts. And adapting it to digital camera is not the quickest process, but with a little patience and a few simple tools, you can have a really funky vintage lens. It's also very affordable. You can easily find the Minolta Autopack 700 for around 20 bucks, which is a crazy bargain for a lens that produces such fun and unusual images. I personally love this Rokkor lens and I had a great time shooting with it. So if you would like to try this fun little lens, here are a few notes that will help you with the adapting process. Once you get yourself a Minolta Autopack 700, the first thing you'll need to do is open up the film door. Inside, you will notice that the lens is held by a retaining ring. On the retaining ring, there are two notches, one here and one over here. Now grab a lens spanner wrench and unscrew the retaining ring. If you have a hard time unscrewing the retaining ring, you can use some nail polish remover. I had to use some because the retaining ring on my camera was not moving at all. I applied some with a Q-tip and let it sit for a bit. After that, unscrewing it was very easy. Once you unscrew the retaining ring, the lens simply comes out. At this point, the lens is only held by a single wire. Grab some scissors, cut the wire, and the lens is yours. Once you have removed the lens from the camera body, you will notice that the ring that opens and closes the aperture is completely loose. Take it off and put it aside for now. On the back of the lens, you will see that there are a couple of metal shims. One over here, which you can discard since you don't need it, and another one over here that is also not needed. Next, you'll have to remove these two rods. This plastic one over here and this metal one over here. Grab some strong pliers and simply cut the two rods. Once that is all done, you will need to open up the shutter. I used just a small piece of paper that I had folded several times. Slightly thicker paper works best. Over here is your shutter cocking lever, and over here is your shutter release lever. Now push the shutter cocking lever counterclockwise until it stops. Then grab your piece of folded paper and insert it in the gap in which the cocking lever travels. Just like that. And make sure that there is a little bit of space between the piece of paper and the lever. Now when you push the shutter release lever, the shutter opens up and stays open. Next, you will need to attach the ring that helps you open and close the aperture. Make sure that it is positioned correctly on the back by aligning these two parts. And make sure that it is firmly pressed to the lens. Now go back to the Minolta Autopack 700 and remove this screw from the front of the camera. Once you take it off, you'll have a metal piece that looks like this. Now grab some strong pliers and cut these two pieces. Once that is all done, you will have two metal pieces that look like this. Now get some super glue and attach the wider piece over here, where the aperture ring and the aperture lever connect. Here it is after I glued it in place. You will need this piece in there because, as you saw earlier, the aperture ring is totally loose, and this piece is a perfect little connector that stops the ring from falling. Now you can freely adjust your aperture, and also the ring stays in place. The other issue that you'll encounter next is that this ring rotates freely without an indicator for any f-stops. I decided to align the letter A with the little triangle over here and the aperture lever. In that position, I set my lens to be wide open at f2.8. Once everything was aligned, I noticed that there are a couple of metal teeth on the rotating ring. And that is where this second metal piece comes in handy. I cut it down so it fits in that spot between the two teeth, and I super glued it so it stays in place. This piece acts as a little stopper to prevent the ring from moving left or right. Now, as you can see, the ring no longer rotates. With this setup, when the aperture lever is aligned with the letter A and the little triangle, the lens is wide open at f2.8. And when I push the lever all the way to the other end, I know that I'm at f22. Unfortunately, all other f-stops are a bit of a guess, but that is not a big deal for me. Next, you'll need to get yourself an RMS to M42 adapter, which will help you adapt this lens to digital. You can easily find one of these adapters on eBay for very cheap. But before you can attach the adapter to the lens, you'll encounter one small issue. As you can see here, there are 3 small screws on the back of the lens that hold the aperture lever in place. One of these screws is slightly taller than the other 2, which is why when you place the adapter, you will see that it doesn't sit flush. Your options are to either file down the head of the tall screw, or you can simply replace it with one that matches the other 2, or you can replace all 3 with some other screws that you might have that fit these openings. Once the 3 screws are even and you position the M42 adapter on the back, you'll see that there is a bit of a wiggle room between the adapter and the thread mount that's on the lens. What I did to deal with this is wrap some strong Gorilla duct tape on the lens thread mount to make it a bit thicker, and after that the adapter was able to slide in without any wiggle room. Now all I had to do is super glue the adapter to the back. I applied some glue to the inner thread of the adapter and also a little bit of glue on the head of each of the 3 screws. When you're doing that, be careful not to get any super glue on the aperture lever that is just below the screws because it needs to be able to move freely. When that is all done and the superglue is dry, you can screw the lens to one of these helicoid adapters which will allow you to focus the lens. I use an M42 to NEX 17 to 31mm helicoid adapter, which works great for close-ups on my Sony a7 III. And that is the whole process. It takes a little bit of time, but there's nothing complicated or difficult. For all the tools and materials I use to adapt this lens, check out the links in the description of the video. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time here at Vintage Optics.